All right. Welcome, everyone. The title of today's talk is Introduction to AI and Cognitive Services for Developers and Information Workers. This conference is organized by folks from the community and also in partnership with Microsoft and SPC events. So mark your calendar. The next SharePoint conference is going to be in Vegas in March on March 23 to 25. And this event would not have been possible without the generous support from the sponsors. So do like watch their videos, and if they are and if there are anything that they need in terms of survey, please do fill those out. And at the end of the conference, there will be a raffle round. To participate in the raffle round, go to this particular link and answer the questions. Answer the questions, and one lucky attendee will be selected from each region, one from Americas, one from APAC, and one from EMEA. And also, 10% of the funds from the sponsors are going to the charity. So if you are interested and if you want to participate in the charity, these are the links are here, and you will be seeing those links in all the slide decks as well. So hey, my name is Prashant G Bhoyar. I was born and raised in India. I came to United States back in 2007. I'm a University of Maryland College Park alumni. I co-authored a book called PowerShell for Office 65. Also acted as a technical reviewer for the book Pro SharePoint 2013 Administration. Let me see. Okay. I am from Washington DC area and I run a couple of user groups over there. One user group is on AI and machine learning, another is on Office 65. So we used before COVID-19, we used to have in-person as well as online meetings, but now we are 100% remote. So you can also join us from anywhere in the world. So these are the links. One is for the meetup for on AI and ML, another is for the Office 65. And we used to organize a lot of local conferences in DC area, but with COVID-19, now we will be organizing those conferences 100% virtual. So definitely watch out our meetup site. One conference, which is AI and ML Fest, is coming up on July 31st. We'll be soon rolling out the agenda, but you can attend that conference free of cost from anywhere from the on the world. I also help organize a couple of SharePoint Saturday events like SharePoint Saturday Baltimore and DC. So I have been recipient of Fantastic Service Medal, and from last 3 years, I've been getting my initially my category was Office apps and services, and last year I got transition to AI. And those of you who are not familiar with Microsoft MVP program, I don't work from Microsoft. It's just additional recognition that Microsoft gives out to the folks who does technical contribution. And those technical contributions can be in the form of creating training content via blog posts or videos or speaking at the conferences, answering questions on the various forums. And this award is valid for 12 months, and after 12 months we have to submit our contribution, and if our contributions are good enough, then we will get rewarded for next year. So right now the evaluation are in process, and we will know whether I will be an MVP for next year or not on July 1st. So currently I work as a solution architect with a company called Witham Smith and Brown. We used to call Porter Solutions before. Business process
I'm,
automation, and
I'm
I
sorry,
work in
sorry
Bethesda,
for
Maryland, USA
interrupting.
office.
I think that you should turn off your video because your voice. We are losing your voice.
Okay, all right. I'm turning off my video now. This will be much better. Okay. Okay. All right. So we about my company, we have 3 MVPs on the staff, and we have done 100 plus deployments in the cloud. We have 50 plus consultants dedicated to uh, the Microsoft Cloud business, and we are in Microsoft business from last 17 years. So this is going to be the agenda for today. It's going to be 100 level session. I assume that you have not had a chance to play with Microsoft AI stack in general, especially with the cognitive services. I will talk about the approach, what kind of approach we'll be taking. We'll start with what is AI, what is machine learning, what are Microsoft cognitive services, how we can get started. We will have demos, key takeaways, and Q&A. Even though I mentioned Q&A towards the end, feel free to questions at any time. I will be monitoring the questions here. Also, we have uh, Tom as well. He will be monitoring the question and answers as well. So with that, so why this session? Why we should invest our time to learn about AI? Because if you see the trend in the technology industry is a lot of new things are getting launched pretty quickly, but the lifespan of those technologies are also getting shorter and shorter. You may have seen that in Microsoft ecosystem as well, uh, where Microsoft launches something. If there is no traction, that means if not many people are using it, they may terminate that product or service. One of the example of that is access services in Office 365. So why we should, like, why I personally think we should invest time to learn about AI? Because of all the advancements that is happening in computation, the tech industry in general is focusing on using AI in business application. You may be hearing a lot in media about driverless cars or autonomous cars, and all this is happening because now we have a computation or a processing power that can support that. And I personally think the AI and ML space is at the same stage when mobile development was when iPhone 1 was launched. If you go back 13 years, 2007, when iPhone 1 was launched, softwares for the mobile devices. But fast forward 12 to 13 years now, if you are thinking of writing or launching a new app, or if you're trying to like launching a new website, chances are you will make sure your website works on mobile device first. And if you have a surplus fund, then maybe you will be dedicate that to other desktop application. We have already seen that shift happen in the industry. If you are from US and if you are in the stock trading, then Robinhood is a app which allows you to trade stock for free. They were the one which allows that particular scheme where you don't have to pay any commission to trade the stocks. But when they were launched 3 years before, they launched as mobile app only. They got so popular, and after 2 years, they launched a desktop app. So we already see the shift is already happening in the industry. And I personally think in next 2 3 years, the AI and ML will. One of the key stats I would like to highlight, and this stat is actually pretty old, where during the holiday season of 2017, Amazon basically sold millions of Alexa devices. Now, Alexa is nothing but a voice-based bot. And the shift what we have seen in the industry is, and that happens without us noticing, is if something gets popular at home, sooner or later you will find that same kind of devices getting introduced and getting used widely in workspace as well. iPhone or smartphone is a good example where when iPhone 1 came, very few companies were supporting a smartphone in their enterprises. But now, since everybody started using smartphone in their personal lives, and now if you join a company, you expect to have a smartphone. So imagine if millions of people are using devices like Alexa or Google Home or Cortana, sooner or later you will find those devices sitting at your desk, and you as a developer or information worker or IT pro need to know how to work with those devices, how to create applications that will work on those devices. Another thing is all these big organizations like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, IBM, what they are doing is they are democratizing AI and data science, where you don't need to be a data scientist to use AI and cognitive services. They are launching AI as a service. Cognitive services is AI as a service from Microsoft. If you are familiar with IBM Stack, then IBM Watson works on the same line where it's AI as a service. Google have the similar offering in their GCP as well. And the analogy I would like to give here is if you have done any kind of web development or if you have read about JavaScript, we have multiple JavaScript frameworks available like the React, the Angulars, or the Knockouts. But to use those frameworks, you don't need to know how those frameworks are built from the ground up. All you need to know how to use those frameworks and build application. So same kind of thing you will be doing with cognitive services, where you don't need to know how these services or Microsoft created those services in the backend. As long as you know how to use those services, you can inject AI in. So the approach I'll be taking in this session is, so this session is geared towards non-data scientists, and the target audience is developer, IT pros, and power users. So let's talk about what is AI. So if you look at AI in general, this is the definition I got from AI research at Google. Is basically, in simple terms, AI is nothing but an effort to automate intellectual tasks normally performed by humans. And AI is not new. AI is been there at least from since World War II. We use AI every day. We just don't notice that. Like if you have any kind of AC or air conditioning or heater in your house, and if you set the temperature, then that heater or AC will make sure, okay, it's trying to maintain that temperature. Same is like if you take the example of elevator. If you take the elevator, if you press the button for third floor, then the elevator will take you to the third floor. So the AI is already there, but the hype and we see in the industry is because of the machine learning that is available now, and the things that we can do some advanced or sophisticated AI with the machine learning power that we are available now. So when it comes to AI, we can categorize AI into three broad categories. One is the strong AI, which you will may have read in the science fiction movies or in the novels. Like the strong AI means the machines are so capable that they can take over the planets, they can invade other planets. So we are not there yet. This strong AI only exists in novels and science fiction movies. Then second category is artificial general intelligence, where machines are machines are intelligent to perform very complex tasks. The example I can give you here is, if you have seen the Iron Man franchise, the main character Tony Stark has a personal assistant called Jarvis, and Jarvis is very intelligent. He can do really complicated stuff, complicated work, which a human may find it difficult to do. Again, we are not there yet. AGI also exists in science fiction movies and in novels. Where we are right now is in the weak AI, where we have specialized services for specialized tasks. And we as a humans are trying to progress from weak AI to AGI. There is a lot of research is going on AGI. But the biggest challenge or bottleneck we have right now, from jumping from number three to number two and from number two to number one, is the processing power. So when it comes to AI, you may be hearing about all these terms like the deep learning, the text to speech, the image recognition, the vision, the robotics, the machine learning, the natural language processing. So all these things are actually nothing but part of the AI. So this is the mission statement from Microsoft, where they want to make sure AI and data science is accessible to everyone, and it doesn't matter what your role is. And some of the services I'll be showing you today is actually actually product of that mission statement. So when it comes to Microsoft AI platform, we can categorize Microsoft AI platform into three broad categories. Like one is AI as a service, then AI infrastructure, and AI tools. When it comes to AI as a service, we have cognitive services, we have Azure machine learning, and we have bot framework as well. And when it comes to tooling, if we have the support for Visual Studio, we have Azure machine learning as well. When it comes to deep learning framework, the support is there for all the your own deep learning framework as well. So these are some of the resources if you are interested, and if you don't know where to start with Microsoft AI platform. So these are some of the resources you can follow, where cognitive services you can see here regarding bots. You can see here. You can also see some free tutorials on AI School as well. And if you are like me, like when I heard about AI in Microsoft ecosystem 3 years before, I wanted to learn about it, but I didn't know where to start. So if you are like me, then you can follow this flowchart is when to use what. So the number one question you will be asking is, okay, when it comes to machine learning and AI, whether I want to build my own machine learning models. If the answer is yes, then the product for you is Azure Machine Learning. If you are like me, who doesn't understand much about data science and is interested in consuming the AI services, then cognitive services and bots are for you. And depending on what option you select in Azure Machine Learning, then you have multiple options when it comes to hosting. So here I want to pause and see if there are any questions so far. Okay. I don't see any questions. So you can feel free to type the questions in the live event Q&A section. All right. So let's talk about bots in Microsoft ecosystem. So when it comes to bots in Microsoft ecosystem, we have two options available right now. One is software as a service, and second is platform as a service. So under software as a service, what we have is something called Power Virtual Agent, which Microsoft announced about that during the last Ignite in November 2019. It basically provides you a no-code experience for bot development. And the moderator for this session, Tom, I think has a lot of content available on his YouTube channel as well. If you are interested in learning about Power Virtual Agent, there's a really good content available from Microsoft as well as from the community. Here, it's basically the target users are the business users, the domain expert. And using this, you can easily build a bot. And if you are interested in learning more about this, you can go to this link, Power Virtual Agents, Microsoft.com. Right now, you can sign up for a free trial. I think, and later on, if you like it and if you want to use in production, you can convert that into a paid subscription. The second option we have is platform as a service, and inside that we have Microsoft Bot Framework, where it's an open source SDK and tools, and the purpose of it's for the bot development. The target audience for this is the developers, because using the Microsoft Bot Framework, you can create really sophisticated bots. And one good thing about Microsoft Bot Framework is if you go with the Microsoft Bot Framework, and let's say if you develop a chatbot, you can deploy that chatbot to multiple channels or devices. And the channel here is not the same as what the channel we get with Microsoft Teams. The channel here means is the various devices we can use to deploy this. Like means we can if we build a bot using Microsoft Bot Framework, I can deploy that to the Teams. I can deploy that on a public facing website. I can deploy that to a Slack, a Facebook, and a similar functionality is also available in Power Virtual Agents. If you go to Power Virtual Agent site, and not all the channels are available as you get with traditional bot framework, but Microsoft is working hard to introduce more and more channels. So this is how you can see the bots in Microsoft ecosystem is where you have Power Virtual Agents, which are no code bot building experience, and Microsoft Bot Framework is for developers, and Power Virtual Agents are built on top of Microsoft Bot Framework and Azure Bot Service. And there is a really good story about integrating between those two, where from Power Virtual Agents you can call a custom built bot using something called Bot Framework skills. So let's talk about what is machine learning. So machine learning is basically is nothing but it examines a lot of data, and what we do is we look for the patterns. And once we find the pattern, the application will use this generated code to make a better prediction. And one of the key advantage of machine learning is it helps you to create smarter applications. So if you had to look machine learning in nutshell, you will have a data, a huge chunk of data, and your data basically will contain some pattern. And you will be using machine learning algorithm of your choice. And then this algorithm will help you to find the pattern in your unstructured data. And once you find the pattern, you will generate a model. And your model basically helps you to recognize the pattern. The next step you will be doing is you will be using this model in your application, and to your application, you will be feeding the new set of data to find the patterns which matches. And so that way you can make a better prediction. These are the popular machine learning algorithms available: regression, decision tree, neural network. If you have heard or know about deep learning, then they basically use neural network. We have Bayesian as well, k-means. And if you are interested to know more about that, you can go to this link and find more about the individual machine learning algorithms that are out there. But let's say if you're not a data scientist and if you don't know about machine learning, then how we can use AI in our application. So for that, Microsoft has introduced something called Microsoft Cognitive Services, which are nothing but AI as a service. So the main idea behind the cognitive services is to give your app a human side. And if you remember the definition we saw in the previous slides about AI is nothing but giving like trying to mimic the behavior of a human. So cognitive services are AI as a services from Microsoft, and we try to do the same thing. And there are various services available. We have services for vision, speech, language, knowledge, search, and labs. And Microsoft is working hard to adding a new services as quickly as possible. So what are cognitive services? The cognitive services are nothing but REST-based APIs. And all you need to use these cognitive services in your application is you need the endpoint of your REST-based API, and you need a key. As long as you have this tool, you can start building this application. And it's flexible. That means even if it's coming from Microsoft, you can use cognitive services in any language of your choice or any platform of your choice. That means you don't have to stick with Microsoft ecosystem. You can use cognitive services in Node.js application, in Python, in Java, in iOS applications as well. So the machine learning algorithms that gets used in the cognitive services are actually built by Microsoft Research, and not many people know, but Microsoft Research has been active in the AI space in last 20 years, and a lot of research and development they have done. They are actually exposing us to that via cognitive services. There is a lot of information available on GitHub. You can always ask the question on Stack Overflow, where Microsoft is paying people to monitor the questions and answer and provide the answer. If something is missing, you can also request that using uh, the user voice. So these are individual services. We are available under vision, speech, language, knowledge, and search. And I think this slide is a little bit dated because there are a few more services which are not listed here. So in today's talk, I cannot cover each and every service. During the demo section, I will focus on language because if you are from Microsoft 365 stack and if you are familiar with SharePoint, then there are a lot of use cases. Practical use cases we have that where we can use uh, the text analytics APIs to build intelligent applications. So since Microsoft Cognitive Services are nothing but a REST-based API, so where we can use this, right? So any application that can consume REST-based APIs, you can use Microsoft Cognitive Services. So if you are a developer, you can use this in JavaScript application. If you in the console application, in .NET application, Java-based application, iOS, Node.js, you can use inside Logic apps as well. And if you are a power user and you don't want to write any code, you can still use cognitive services. You can use cognitive services in Power Automate. If you are familiar with SharePoint Designer workflows, then you can use these cognitive services with SharePoint Designer 2013 style workflows. You can also use these cognitive services in any third-party product as long as that product supports consuming REST-based APIs. Like if you have any third-party product like UiPath or Nintex or K2s or Agile Point, as long as those products allow you to consume REST-based APIs, you should be able to use cognitive services with that. Let's see if there are any questions so far. Okay, looks like none. So what are some of the practical applications between AI and ML? So these applications we have already seen in our personal lives, where a lot of credit card companies and banking organizations use AI and ML for spam and fraud detection. For example, If I am a customer of Bank of America in United States, and without informing the bank, if I go for a vacation in Mexico, and suddenly if I try to swipe my card multiple times for various reasons, like for food, for shopping, I normally get an alert, a notification from Bank of America saying, "Hey, we are seeing some unusual activity. We would like to confirm whether it's you or someone else is using the card on your behalf." So these all things happen because all these financial organizations have built sophisticated machine learning algorithms, which runs behind the scene. Decision engines, like a lot of financial institutions use this for the first line of approval when you apply for a loan or mortgage. So a lot of times the first decision has been taken by the machines, and of course after that, then a human loan officer will come into picture, and then he will evaluate, and then he will take the final decision. Recommendation engine, we have seen that a lot, especially if you have seen videos on YouTube, or if you have seen content on Netflix, or if you have done shopping on big e-commerce website like Amazon, Walmart. Then depending on your shopping habit or your history, you get some recommendations. And all for that all to happen, there are some sophisticated machine learning algorithms which run in the backend. A lot of aircraft companies use machine learning for predictive maintenance. Machine learning also gets used in optical character recognition. It gets used in natural language processing, machine translation, and in autonomous system as well. Now, all these are application we have seen in our personal life, but where can we use AI and machine learning in the enterprise or in our day-to-day work? So these are some of the things we can do. Is if your company is into have let's say more than 1,000 employees, and you have a good historical data in terms of when your employees take the training the most, how much time they spend, how much it costs, then you can build a machine learning model which gives you a recommendation on your training needs. So your company can be better prepared. Like, okay, most of the time our employees take the training, let's say during the summertime or during the winter time, and this is normal, the average cost. So the company can be better prepared for those kind of things. Resourcing need, if your company is big in staffing, then you can use sophisticated machine learning model to create to get a recommendation on resourcing need as well. Process improvement, if you have a good historical data in terms of any of the workflows that are running in your organization, then you can use that historical data and you can generate some models which can recommend you some improvements. One of the product I know, Nintex, which is Microsoft partner, they have a workflow development tools, and one of their product actually use a similar machine learning model in the backend, which gives you a recommendation on process improvement, provided you have a good historical data. Text analytics, as I mentioned, there are various practical applications we can do using text analytics in the enterprises as of today. Product reviews, if your company is in the business of launching new products, or if you launch a new initiative inside your company, let's say you launch a new intranet and you want to find out how is the response of your employees, you can use text analytics to easily review the response and see whether the response is positive or negative, and what kind of what are the keywords the company the respondents are talking about. You can also use text analytics to easily classify for the case and document classification. Pretty much majority of the organization have a big network drives where there are some historical documents get stored, and since it's not possible for, let's say, two or three people to go and read the content of each and every document and then find out where this document should go, you can use something called text analytics with this, where we can feed the contents of the document to the text analytics API, and depending on the keyword, depending on the language, then you can specify, okay, this document can go into this particular site or this particular folder with this particular metadata. So we can easily do the case and document classification using text analytics. We can also do social media analytics. If your company is public facing and you launch a new product and you want to see the reaction from the public in general, you can use text analytics for that as well. You can also use text analytics for intellectual property and to do plagiarism check as well. and you can use sentiment analysis, text analytics for sentiment analysis as well. So before I jump into the demo section, let me know if there are any questions. Okay. All right. So Tom, I'm not seeing any questions. Am I missing anything, or there are no questions at all? Okay, let me see if anyone is pinged. All right. Okay. Okay. Let's go to the demo piece. So for this, I'll be exiting from the PowerPoint and I'll be sharing my screen. So for that, what you need to do is open your favorite browser and just Google or Bing for Microsoft Cognitive Services. And once you click on this here, you will find information on this. Now, the reason I'm showing you like go this way, because if tomorrow Microsoft adds a new API or service, then you will come to know about this from this page. And here, if you scroll down, you will see the various cognitive services categorized between decision, language, speech, vision, and web search. So if I click on language, inside language, I will be seeing various services like under preview, language understanding, Q&A maker. If you have created bots in the past, or if you have created, or if you know, like Q&A maker is a service which helps you to create a knowledge base using your existing data, and you can use this knowledge base inside a bot as well. So under speech, we have this many services. Under vision, we have this many services. Under web search, we have this many services. So let's say in today's talk, we're going to focus on language text analytics. So let's say if you are interested in knowing more about text analytics, so you click on language, you go to text analytics here, and on this page, if you scroll down, what Microsoft has done, which I really like, is they have created a custom application on the site itself, which we can use to see how the text analytics API work. So we have a predefined text here, and there is a button called analyze here. And this way, this custom application built by Microsoft work is, if I click on analyze, this content will get sent to the text analytics API, and the response will come back here, like from that text here. So it will show us what kind of language it is, what are some of the key phrases, the sentiment score, if it's whether it's a positive or negative, and if you scroll down, the name entities and the link entities as well. And if you're a developer and if you're interested in knowing like in what format the response came back from the text analytics API, you click on the JSON, and here you will see the response coming back in the form of JSON. So with that, let's quickly test whether this API works really how it's normally shows. So here I'll be typing an example of a positive statement like cognitive services are awesome. And let's analyze. The moment I click analyze here, this text will get sent to the text analytics API in the backend, and the results will get updated here. So watch out display space. So I click analyze, and now the result came back. And if you see, so the text analytics API is confident that the language is English. It's 100% confident. The key phrases in this particular text is cognitive services. The sentiment is it's 100%. 100% that means it's a positive statement. And these are some of the link entities. And if you hover over it, it basically give you the URL to the Wikipedia where you can provide some additional information about this. Now let's try example of something negative. Okay, we all agree with we can all agree with this particular statement. So Microsoft licensing is often confusing. So again, this is English language. The key phrase is Microsoft licensing, and the sentiment is negative. And this is and the link entity is towards the Microsoft. Now let's say you like what you saw. The next step you can do is basically try it out. So if you really like the demo you saw, and the similar demo is available for other cognitive services as well. So if you go here and if you go to the vision, and if you go to the computer vision, the similar kind of application or the sample application you will find on here as well. So here we have an image, and you can submit the image from a URL, or you can upload the image from your computer as well. And it will give you the information in this particular box in terms of what exactly the image has. It will come up with some tags, a description, the format, the dimension, and all other information. So in this case, since I will be showing you the demo of cognitive services, so let's go back to the language and click on text analytics, and let's click on try text analytics. So here you have three options when it comes to trying cognitive services for free. First is you can sign up with a guest account where you get a 7-day trial. Next one is if you don't have Azure account, you can sign up for a free Azure account where you right now we get $200 of credit, and these credits are valid for 1 year, and or you can use an existing Azure account. So my personal recommendation to you is if you already have an Azure account, go with the third option. The reason I'm saying that is in the third option as well, you can go with the free tier of Text Analytics API. In the free tier, the number of transactions you can do are limited. But the advantage of you going with the free tier is you don't have to do a lot of configuration changes. Let's say you are doing a quick POC and you use the free tier of Text Analytics API for that, and then later on you want to use that into your live production application. You just have to change the tier to the paid tier, and the configuration you need to do are less here. Whereas if you go with the guest or if you go with free Azure account, and later on if you have to move to a paid Azure subscription or your company's Azure subscription, you have to do a lot of work for that. So I already have Azure subscription, so I'm going to click on sign in here. All right. So it's waiting for the login. Interesting. Let me refresh this and let me click on the sign in. Let's try one more time. Okay, try text analytics and click on sign in. Okay, looks like this link is not working. So what I will do is I will just go to portal.azure.com. All right. And here, this is not the one I wanted to show. So apologize for that. This here. I'll signing in with different account. I'll be using a different account here. So let me just bear with me. All right. So this is what I wanted. So let's go to portal.azure.com. Okay. And this is the account I would like to pick. Okay. So here, let's say you're not coming from that particular link. Let's see if we can make this link work from here since I already logged in, because I want to show you the real experience here. So if I click on try analytics here, and if I click on sign in, looks like this sign in option is not working. That's fine. The reason I was trying to show you that because it will automatically create like take you to the option where you don't have to select the text analytics API. Whereas now, since we are going from the homepage of Azure, so here just type text analytics, and this is what we're looking for. Then click on create. And here you have to give it a name. So let's call it as M365 virtual marathon, or you can give any other name. Then the subscription, you have to give a valid subscription name here. So I'm going to go with this. The location is very, very important when it comes to the text analytics API and also some of the cognitive services, because depending on your location, the results that come back from the machine learning algorithms which Microsoft uses in the backend may vary. Because here, if I select the East US or let's say West US, then the machine learning algorithms that Microsoft will be using are based on US English. Whereas let's say if I use a data center in UK, like UK South, then the machine learning models that will be using in the backend will be using English UK as a base language. So you have to keep that in mind. Like, okay, who are your target audience, and based on that, you have to select your location. Another thing is if you are writing an app and that app is hosted, let's say in East US, then and if you are targeting this app for the US location, then you want to make sure all the corresponding assets, then also the text analytics API are actually in the same geographical location. So you're not have to hop between multiple data centers. So here I'll be using East US, and here you can start with the free tier. So as I mentioned, if you have already existing Azure account, and go with the free tier, so you can quickly do a POC and you don't get charged for this. And then specify the name of the resource group here. And the next thing you just create. So I already have created a free tier, and by default, I think Microsoft allows you to just use free tier for only um, one particular resource in a particular subscription. So I have already created one. So I'm just going to quickly open that. So this is going to be text analytics. Today, I think it's because of the live meeting we're doing. Once you will see the information about what's the endpoint, and also you'll be needing the keys to use in your application. So if I click on copy to clipboard, so this way the keys will get copied to the clipboard and I can use that. Another key thing I want to show you in Azure, and this is true for anything you create in Azure. So if you click on under the left hand navigation, if you click on the quick start, what Microsoft has done is, and this is true for a lot of application, a lot of resource types, is if you go to quick start here, you will see a really good documentation that helps you to get started with this. So let's say you're totally new to this and you click on the quick start. If you scroll down, then here, if you click on C# quick start, here you will see the complete end-to-end tutorial on how to use text analytics SDK inside a C# application, like the step-by-step, and in the Node.js application as well. So you can also download the sample. Same is the case with Python, Node.js, Go language, Ruby as well. So only thing we need once it's created is the endpoint URL and the key, and then we can start using that in our application. So let's see what I have here. Okay. So the next demo I'll be showing you is how to use Text Analytics API as a power user, where you don't have to write any line of code, but still you can use Text Analytics API and create intelligent application. So the way Text Analytics API work is it uses to analyze the unstructured text. So you can do language detection, key phrase extraction, sentiment analysis. Sentiment is nothing but a process of detecting whether a piece of writing is positive or negative, and it gives you a numerical score. Uh, so the application we can do it is I have right now is I have a simple SharePoint list where user enter comments, and we have a Microsoft Flow or Power Automate running in the backend, which takes that comment, send that back to the Text Analytics API, and then whatever the results come back in terms of the language, the key phrases, and the sentiment score, we update that back to the SharePoint list. We can use this like similar functionality for to get the response from your employees if you launch a new intranet or a new initiative within the company. And once the results are come back, you can then use those results in the form of dashboards. So you can get a good overview of like, okay, what kind of response we got, whether the users are happy or not, what's their satisfaction score, and all other kind of things. So with that, let's go to the demo of sentiment analysis. Okay. All right. So next one I'll be doing is okay. So what I'll be doing is I will be logging into my Office 365 account. And here I'll be going to SharePoint and I'll be opening that particular list. And it's a very simple list. Let me go to demos. And let me go to the feedback. Now, one interesting thing I want to point out here is I know even though the text analytics APIs are available in Azure and the example I'm showing you is in with SharePoint Online, even if you are using SharePoint on-prem, you can still use the cognitive services and text analytics API in your application, as long as you can make the SharePoint farm where it's hosted. That infrastructure allows you to make calls to the cognitive services, like the firewall is not blocking those calls. You should be able to use cognitive services with your on-premise applications as well. So here, let me quickly show you how the functioning of it, and then I will go into the backend. So here I have, let me see, let's like M365 virtual marathon. Let's do a comment. Organizers had done exceptional job to organize the event of this scale. All right. And right now, I'm leaving this sentiment score, the language, the key phrases blank, because the moment I submit this, a flow will run in the backend, which basically send this particular text to the text analytics API, and whatever the results will come back, it will update that. So I'll click save here, and you will see after a minute, if I refresh this, this particular fields, the sentiment score, the language and key phrase will get updated. So let me refresh this. Okay. It is taking some time. All right, since we don't have a lot of time, what I will do is I will straight away jump to the flows which are running in the backend. So for that, I will go to flow.microsoft.com, sign in. Refresh, see if anything got updated. Yes, so it did take us some time, but if you see the sentiment score is updated, the language it came back with this English language, and the key phrase here is scale. Now let's see how we have done that in the backend. So if I go to the flow, so I have created three separate flows for each of these calls because I want to show the implementation individually. So the first thing I want to show is the sentiment. So here, this is the one I have used. And if I click on edit, it basically is very simple flow where it gets triggered when a new item gets created in that feedback list. Then it uses an action which is already available inside Microsoft Flow called detect sentiment. And here, if you see the connection failed, where I can go here and provide a new connection. So if I click on add connection, so I had to give it a name. Let's say if I called it M365 virtual marathon, then these are the two important things. The account key. Make sure you're not sharing your account key with anyone else, because if someone has your account key, then they can make calls on your behalf, and then you will be getting charged for that. And here we'll be providing the URL of that particular cognitive service, which we saw in the overview section once when we created that. So click cancel. And for this particular action, what we had to do is we had to provide the text, and we are providing the text from that particular field called demo comments. And whatever the results come back, we are basically updating the score to the sentiment score. On similar lines, we have another flows which basically extract the content and also extract and detect the language as well. So it's very easy. Like as long as you have uh, the subscription, as long as you have the endpoint URL and the key, you can use that in without writing a single line of code in something called Power Automate or Microsoft Flow. The next example I have here is, let me open that real quick, which is a practical application which we can do. And the next demo I have is using C Sharp. So let me open the Visual Studio real quick. So this is a good opportunity while I'm opening the Visual Studio. If you have any questions, let us know.
So thank you very much. There are no questions.
Okay.
In the Q&A chat.
All right. No worries. All right. Looks like the Visual Studio is opening up, and I had to stop by 10, or I had to stop before that.
Well, you can stop right now actually, and then just move on. I mean, if you do have like a minute to go, then just continue. But
okay,
let's give some time Rainer to set up as well.
Okay. So okay, I will walk you through this particular example real quick. So here I have a console application. And what I have done, if you are familiar with C# development, is I have added a NuGet package for the text analytics API. And the way this console application is, and I'll share uh, the source code, is basically let me open up my directory here. There are a couple of files on the file system, the Word document, that this particular console application will be reading. So it will go through all these Word documents, read the contents, and give us in what language the documents are written, what are some of the key phrases. So once we have that information, then we can use the business logic of our choice to move those documents either to a separate folder or to a SharePoint site or any other a cloud storage area. So that's the idea behind this. I think we don't have much time, so I'm not going to be quickly walking through this, but I will be posting the link to this on the GitHub, so you can find that out. So a couple of more things is another product that we didn't cover, but I want to quickly talk about is, in case So remember, cognitive services are AI as a services. So you don't have control in terms of what machine learning models Microsoft will be using in the backend. So if you are not happy with whatever the results are coming back and you want to build your own model, you can go with something called Azure Machine Learning. But for that, you need to be a data scientist. One of the key things I like about is Azure Machine Learning is, let's say your data scientist create the machine learning model, then you can deploy that as a web service. And we as a developers or information worker then can consume these models via a web service. If you don't have access to Office 365, you can go to dev.office.com and sign up for the developer program. With that, you get your personal E5 subscription for free. Right now, it's valid for 3 months and you get 25 users. And if you use it for personal development, Microsoft may extend your trial period for another 3 months. If you want to have a full-blown a trial, you can always go to the product.office.com. Same way, the Azure subscription, since to play with the community services, you need access to Azure. You can get that via MSDN subscription. If your company is participating that, you can sign up for free trial. There is another program from Microsoft called Microsoft Imagine. It used to call DreamSpark before, where you don't need a credit card, but you need a .edu account from a participating school and institution, and not all schools participate in this program. So you have to check whether whether the account you have is actually can get a free Azure subscription with limited feature set with that. So hopefully
Prashant,
the contents we cover.
yeah,
Go ahead.
sorry to interrupt you. Can you take these like all the other information you want to share to the community area and then meet with your attendees because we're just like 4 minutes before Rainer should start and sorry, it's
All right.
just very dangerous.
That's fine.
So
That's fine. So yeah,
attendees, if
take
you want.
over. Feel free to provide the feedback and
Okay.
take over. I can stop sharing and you can start your sharing.
All right.
Thank you.
So sorry for interruption,
Thanks
but
for joining.
there is a community